Dear kiddo, take my hand into darkness. Let's rewind to a simpler time. Before the chaos, before the implosions, before your mom's carefully curated mask slipped off to reveal the whirlwind beneath. Back then, we were just a couple having adventures, hiking trails, and stopping for brick oven pizza. It felt good, like the kind of romance you'd see in a cheesy movie montage. But as I've learned, even the best movies can have unexpected twists, and foreshadowing is always there if you know where to look. Rio en Medio, the calm before the storm. Our hike at Rio en Medio was one of those rare, pure moments. The air was crisp, the waterfall tumbled gracefully, and your mom drove us in her busted-up BMW, which always sounded like it was seconds away from coughing out its last breath. I still have a picture of her from that day, walking beneath the water, her hair slicked back like something out of a shampoo commercial. This place would become special for us. It was the first hike we took you on when you learned to walk. I even have the video, you wobbling like a tiny drunk sailor, holding hands with Mom as she guided you down the trail. It's a sweet memory, one I like to keep separate from everything that came later. Pizza and expectations at Dr. Feelgood's. Things started to shift on the way to see the Planet of the Apes remake. We stopped at Dr. Feelgood's for lunch, a quirky little spot in Santa Fe known for its wood-fired pizza. Over a bubbling pie and some appetizers, Mom brought up her forthcoming trip to Europe. "Do we have any expectations?" she asked, casually, as if she were inquiring about whether we should order another drink. At the time, I didn't read much into it. We were early in the relationship, still in that sweet spot where everything feels light and fun. I shrugged and said, "I guess not." I hadn't heard about her 3 divorces yet, or the horror stories of her ex-husbands. I didn't know she had a meticulously curated plan for this trip, one that involved romanticizing European men in ways that had nothing to do with strolling cobblestone streets or sipping wine by the Seine. In hindsight, I should have realized that expectations was code for permission. The Eduardo revelation. Months later, during one of those unguarded moments when Mom let the truth slip, she told me her plan for that trip, to fuck Europe. She said it so matter-of-factly that I was momentarily stunned. Apparently, while I was back in Santa Fe dreaming about our future, she was living her best cinematic life, complete with a starring role for a man named Eduardo. Kiddo, let me be clear. I didn't even know about Eduardo until much later. But when I did, it hit like a freight train. This was someone she met while I was replaying that waterfall hike in my mind, convinced we were building something meaningful. It was like being handed a ticket to a play, only to find out halfway through that you're not the main character. You're the side plot. Missed signs and a lesson from apes. While she was in Europe, I had a chance to hook up with a woman at the Hotel Andaluz in Albuquerque. I didn't go through with it because, at the time, I was trying to be loyal to Mom. Ironically, this same hotel would resurface later in our relationship in ways I couldn't have predicted. But back then, I was all in, blind to the fact that the scales were hilariously unbalanced. Looking back, I wonder if there wasn't something in the Planet of the Apes remake that I should have paid attention to, a lesson about human behavior, specifically female behavior, and how I might have missed the warning signs. I mean, it's a movie about primal instincts, territorial disputes, and shifting power dynamics. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Maybe I should have recognized that while I was philosophizing about the ethics of genetically enhanced apes, Mom was already plotting her European adventure. The metaphor practically writes itself. The mask slips. There are moments in every relationship where the mask slips and you see someone for who they truly are. For me, this was one of those moments. The casual mention of expectations, the later confession about Eduardo, the startling realization that I wasn't playing by the same rules. The kicker, though, is that I stayed, because that's what you do when you're young and in love and convinced you can fix something that's fundamentally broken. I stayed because I wanted to believe she'd change, that this was just a blip. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. What I want you to know, kiddo, if there's one thing I want you to take from this story, it's this. Pay attention to the signs. Whether it's a seemingly innocent question over pizza or a not-so-innocent revelation months later, people will often tell you who they are if you're listening. Also, don't dismiss metaphorical lessons from movies about apes. Sometimes they're more relevant than you think. Take my hand into darkness, kiddo. The journey's messy, but at least it's never boring. Love, Dad.